Welcome back. Andrew Crossley, property advisor and founder of Australian Property Advisory Group.com.au. Today I have Garry Harvey. He's a property specialist. He's personally developed purchased and grown 39 investment properties over the last 13 years. And I don't know of anyone better to be able to help you, the audience, in giving some tips and tricks to how he's done that. Welcome, Garry.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Garry, I'm often asked from people starting out with property investment and also people growing their portfolio, how they can improve their portfolio. And the term optimisation is thrown around. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think optimisation is really getting your portfolio to perform the way you want to and making sure it's hitting all of your objectives. That can be different for different investors. Some are looking for tax-effective investments, others strong cash flow investments, and I think we're all looking for good capital growth and rental growth over the time we have them. There are a number of ways to optimise your portfolio, and again, it will depend on what your strategy is. For me personally, it has been around cash flow, and that has enabled me to continually buy property over the 13 years. So I focused heavily on that, and still do, by trying to increase the return and also manage my costs on my real estate.
Okay. Now, I'm often hearing from people that it's important to get it right the first time, and there are some overall general fundamentals that investors can do. You've done what's personally suited you, but could you explain some common basic fundamentals that a person should focus on getting right for them, because that would suit most people? Yeah,
sure. I think, look, when you make the decision to invest in real estate, it really is a long-term investment. Where I see people have a portfolio or a property that doesn't perform well, it's usually because they haven't held on to it long enough. You've heard the old adage, it's not necessarily timing the market, it's timing the market, and I'm a big believer in that. Properties, in my experience, it's a very forgiving asset, and if you hang on to it for a while, it will usually reward you well. So timing the market, selecting an area which you believe has some good potential for growth, both rental and capital growth, and obviously getting the financing structure correct so you're able to hold on to it.
And that's a fundamental element that you've incorporated in your property portfolio, having interest-only loans on all your properties. How has that helped you?
Yeah, look, I'm a big advocate of interest-only loans. For me, with an interest-only loan, it's just the best way to structure your loans. There's no disadvantage to having an interest-only loan. It does minimise your outgoings because you only have to meet the interest repayment. But there's no restrictions in most cases on making additional payments into that loan or having an offset account linked to that loan to offset the interest with any savings you have. So for me, why wouldn't you do interest only? It gives you the best of both worlds.
Now, to own 39 properties is a feat in itself. One of your strategies has been vendor finance.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, some people don't understand what that means, and there's also some controversy as to whether it's a legitimate way of doing things. You've certainly done it.
Yes.
If you could elaborate on why it is allowed.
Yeah, sure. No, that is true. And look, there are many myths around about vendor finance. I'm certainly not a legal expert around it, but I have good legal representation. My vendor finance properties are located in Victoria. There's certainly no issue with doing vendor financing in Victoria. A great example of that is, it is endorsed by the State Revenue Office. The State Revenue Office will pay the first homeowners grant on a vendor terms contract, particularly if it's applicable. There are changes in the first homeowners grant space all the time, but if the purchaser qualifies, then that will be paid. And then also, as the investor, that particular property that is under a vendor finance contract is not subject to land tax. So I don't think there's any better proof, particularly in Victoria, that it is a legitimate way to buy and sell property.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Garry.
Yeah, no problem.
And thanks for joining us once again. If you'd like to get some assistance or some tips and tricks moving forward, I'll be interviewing Garry in the future, and he may even be adding to a couple of my blogs with some information he might give me from time to time. So thank you again for joining us, and I look forward to having you join us again soon. Thanks.